Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking. This is episode 47, and we are here for a two-parter, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. You will get part one today, which will cover NXT's Stand and Deliver pay-per-view on Saturday afternoon during WrestleMania weekend, and then you will get part of WrestleMania Day 1, Saturday. Part two will then give you the remainder of WrestleMania Part 1 and all of WrestleMania Day 2 Sunday. Now, you will be listening to this on Thursday evening. I want to thank you guys for joining me as always, and I thank you for continuing to put up with my dribble at times. But we are here, as I said, to talk about a very special weekend. It was WrestleMania weekend. It just passed. And let me tell you, there were bumps, there were bruises, there were tears, there were laughs, and there were a couple of oofs, to quote my friend Nate Maxon. Um, so there are no quick hits this week, and there are definitely nothing that is grinding my gears. Although you never know, I might just spout off at the top, but not during this episode. A lot went on this weekend with the Hall of Fame. The Steiner brothers induction was great. I just wish Scotty would have been Scotty more, but I guess he didn't want to hurt anything that the Steiners still have in the WWE, aka Braun Breaker, his nephew. Um, Vader's induction was great with his son and his wife. Shad Gaspard getting the Warrior Award was unbelievable. Seeing his young son that Shad saved, um, and in his passing, and his wife, Queen Charmel was okay. And then, of course, the 1 hour monologue that was The Undertaker's speech, which got me teary eyed twice, ladies and gentlemen. That man knows how to talk, whether he's the dead man or whether he's Mark Calloway. God bless you, Undertaker. Thank you for all of your time spent in the ring. Thank you for everything you've ever done in the world of professional wrestling. Thank you, Taker. With that being said, go ahead and pop open your favorite frosty beverage, kick back, and listen to me spew my venom, my hate, and my love for the WrestleMania weekend that was just passed. NXT Stand and Deliver. Incredible opening video package that highlights everything that's happened in the last 2 months in NXT. W video, except no substitute. And we go right to our opening match, which is a North American title ladder match. And this highlighted 5 of the best that NXT has to offer right now. You got Carmelo Hayes, Cameron Grimes, Grayson Waller, uh, Santos Escobar, and Solo Sikoa. Interesting choice to open up the show, but it didn't disappoint. 5 of the best that NXT has to offer, as I said, went into a human demolition derby. Grimes and Escobar stood out the most, but Solo Sikoa showed he had heart. That young man, in my opinion, is the future of any WWE brand, whether it be NXT, Raw, or SmackDown. The latter spot with Grayson Waller looks sickening, and I think the young man may have actually broken his arm, but it was unbelievable. I think he's our new Jeff Hardy, ladies and gentlemen. And in the end, after a grueling 25 minutes of back and forth action, ladder spots, finishing moves, you name it, Cameron Grimes reached up, making his promise to his father finally fulfilled. Your winner and new North American champion, Cameron Grimes. I am ecstatic about this. Although anyone who would have won this match would have been a great North American champion. Let's face it, Carmelo Hayes has held it down for the last 4 months. Uh, Grayson Waller adding, that title to him would have given him more to boast about and be more egotistical. Escobar getting the belt back would have proven that it wasn't a fluke the first time, and Sequoia might have started to cement himself early. But the background that they gave us with Cameron Grimes making the promise to his dad and everything that he had riding on this show, they just made it more special. Congratulations to Cameron Grimes. I hope you have a lengthy title reign, and I hope you take the North American title to the moon. We then go to D'Angelo De Niro and Tommaso Ciampa. I wasn't behind this feud because of my dislike for D'Angelo, but they delivered. I have to say it, folks. Hard hitting shots from Tommaso Ciampa, including his fairy tale ending, but D'Angelo kicked out. Tony D hit a DDT on the outside, which got Ciampa very dreamy eyed. He went for the crowbar a couple of times, but it just, I don't know, it just wasn't. The referee was always around. I guess they didn't want to let it end on a BS move like the crowbar to the head. D'Angelo then hit a big boot and picked up a huge win in 15 minutes and he beats the face of NXT, in my opinion. Tommaso Ciampa was NXT black and gold, still through and through. This was a 15-minute banger, both guys proving that they belong, whether it's in NXT or on the main roster. In my opinion, Ciampa definitely belongs on the main roster, but he just hasn't wanted to go just yet. The thing that I thought was telling was post-match. Seeing Triple H come out and congratulate Tommaso Ciampa says it all. The heart of NXT is leaving to the main brand, and in my opinion, it's going to make whatever main brand show he goes to better. Tommaso Ciampa versus The Miz, Ciampa versus Cody or KO or Rollins, or you throw him on SmackDown, and you got Ciampa versus guys like Apollo Crews and you know Finn Balor, so many other great athletes on Raw and on SmackDown. I wish him well, and I hope that they push him as hard as humanly possible. Seeing Triple H give him that thank you proves to me that he is still a Triple H guy, and I hope that that pays off in the end. We then go to tag team action, a 6-man triple threat match. The Creed brothers versus Imperium versus MSK for Imperium's tag team titles. What a triple threat match. Imperium showed us what a well-oiled traditional tag team looks like. The Creed brothers were fantastic and proved they'll be a big-name tag team in the future. And MSK, well, they went from underdogs to the top of the card real quick. The cannonball spot by Julius Creed had me laughing and screeching out like a mark. It was unbelievable. The amazing double team power bomb by MSK was executed perfectly. And after a grueling 20 minutes, your winner and new NXT Tag Team Champions, MSK, getting back their gold. They are a great young tag team. I liked them when they were the Rascals in Impact, and I think that they do a great job in NXT. There's been a couple of stories surrounding Nash Carter that I won't go completely into, but apparently with the abuse of a woman about a year ago, she's just come out now. I hope they are untrue, but if they are true, then the NXT needs to act quickly and reprimand this young man as quickly as possible. In any indication, I think the Creed brothers are due for a tag team title run very soon, and I think that Walter and Imperium deserve to be called up very, very, very quickly. We then see highlights of the NXT Women's Tag Team title match, but I'm confused. When did this match happen? Because I was watching the WWE Network all day today, and I never saw it on. I didn't notice anything during the pre-show or anything like that. In any case, Raquel and Dakota got the win and are the new NXT Tag Team Champions for the women's division. Great for them. I like Toxic Attraction. I hope they'll get the belts back or at least get a title match rematch sooner rather than later. I'm just confused as to why this was not on the main show. And then we go to Mandy Rose defending her women's title against Cora Jade, Io Shirai, and Kylie Ray. This was booked as about, by paint by numbers as it gets. It was booked as best as a fatal 4-way as you can get. And I mean that in a good way because it was a typical throw 2 people out of the ring and 2 people stay in. Kylie Ray was vicious and cunning and showed it here. Io Shirai is a technical wizard, and Cora Jade needs more time, in my opinion. The youngster looks great, but she still has a little more seasoning. Glad that she's had 2 title shots, but I'm happy they didn't put the gold on her just yet. Mandy Rose is the perfect chicken shit heel and kept jumping in when least expected. One miscommunication later, and Mandy Rose got the win and retained her women's title. Your winner and still NXT Women's Champion, Mandy Rose. So Toxic Attraction still has some power in NXT. Backstage, we see that Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis beat Parada and Duke Hudson for the sexiest couple in NXT. I'm glad they didn't draw this out. It wasn't done during the live show. Keep it backstage, 1, 2, 3, and here we go. I'm thinking it's going to lead to a, one of those mixed tags matches, and probably then a one-on-one match between Duke and Dexter. That's fine with me. I have no problem with that. And then we go to the ring for Walter, taking on LA Knight. LA Knight and Walter make their respective way to the rings. Yes, Walter, because I will not call him anything else. The best fight I've seen since Dragunov here given to Walter by LA Knight was pound for pound a knockdown drag out fight. Although Walter hit Knight with an impressive splash and a chop after chop after chop, Knight fought back. Knight hit everything he could except for the gravy train, which is his finisher. He tried everything he could against a much bigger Walter, but Walter, being who he is, in the end, hit his massive powerbomb and got the win. A very good matchup here. Technically sound while also being a brawl. Good on by both of these guys. Very, very, very good matchup. Then we see highlights of the Dolph Ziggler Braun Breaker feud and what's happened. Breaker was the NXT champion, and Ziggler beat him for it 3 weeks ago. And while I did not agree with that choice, I'm like, well, if this leads to Braun Breaker's NXT Stand and Deliver moment during WrestleMania weekend, so be it. And for 25 minutes, these two went back and forth and threw everything they had at one another. Breaker used pure power, hit his Steiner line multiple times. The challenger had Ziggler beat multiple times, but Bobby Roode kept getting involved. Breaker had to hit a senton to the outside to take out both champion and Bobby Roode and get Roode away from the ring. But in the end, Ziggler raked the eyes out of nowhere and beat Braun Breaker after a quick super kick to remain the NXT champion. Your winner, and although I may not agree with it, and still NXT champion, Dolph Ziggler. It was a great main event, though. Whatever you want to say, I know I don't like Dolph Ziggler in this position, but he's really having great matches with Braun Breaker. This was a great NXT pay-per-view. By far one of the better shows I've seen from them in quite a while. They always deliver on pay-per-view, though, so I won't put them down for that. And this was an incredible way to jumpstart Saturday for WrestleMania weekend. We saw that on Friday. We had SmackDown, WrestleMania SmackDown, which had the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. And it was won by Madcap Moss. Don't know why. You had guys like, Cesaro and the Big Show win it at first, and even Baron Corbin, and then you have a guy like Madcap Moss win it. Okay. And then, of course, as I mentioned, the Hall of Fame earlier. So this was a great way to kick off Saturday's shows. If I had to give NXT a grade, it would be 5 out of 5 because there wasn't one bad match on this card. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches on this card, and there wasn't one bad match. A couple of slow segments in the backstage area, but nothing terrible. So nothing to be upset about in any way, shape, or form. Very good NXT show. I hope this continues into Tuesday, but I guess we have to wait and see. But my promise will not go undone. I said that if NXT continues to put on a good product until WrestleMania, then I will continue to watch them and do them on the weekly show here on If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking. However, I said if they continue to produce bad product and everything sucks, well, then I'm dropping them from the show. Well, NXT, congratulations. You've still got my interest. I'm enjoying your product. So I will continue to watch you and review you here on the show. That now brings us to WrestleMania 38, Night 1, Saturday. I don't know who they had sing the national anthem, but he massacred that. It was bad. I'm sorry to say if I'm offending anybody, but that young man could not sing, and I heard something about him being a Grammy winner or multi-platinum recording star. If that's the case, we need to reevaluate who we give multi-platinum recording star status to. In any indication, WrestleMania is opened up by the Usos and Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. And this was a decent opener, but I kept feeling like this match could have happened on SmackDown. It just didn't have a Mania feel to it. And it was dominated by the Usos, which is fine because they're a dominant tag team. But you built up Nakamura and Boogs so hard. How do you have them just get dominated the whole matchup? Boogs' injury was sick to watch. He will be out at least 8 months. I wish him a speedy recovery, and I hope that he comes back at 100%, even better than ever. The Usos get the win and retain their tag team titles. Your winners and still SmackDown tag team champions, Jimmy and Jay, the Usos. Interesting to see the continued push of the Usos here, ladies and gentlemen. Here's why. The week before they won the tag team titles, Jimmy was hit with a DUI again. It was his third, I believe. And to see that WWE handed him the tag team titles a week later and have continued to push him, with a rocket on his back. I understand Roman's the world champion, but let's face it, you could have put any tag team with Roman Reigns. It didn't have to be the Usos. Maybe that's just my opinion. I'm tired of the belt constantly getting passed, though, between the Usos and the New Day. I'm hoping that with new tag teams like Ridge Holland, Sheamus, and Butch, and a few other guys being put together, as well as new superstars coming down the pipeline, we may get a new chance at a new champion somewhere down the line. Our next matchup on the card is Drew McIntyre versus Baron Corbin. And again, I had the same feeling in this one. It just didn't have a WrestleMania feel to it. I mentioned that during last week's preview of WrestleMania and my predictions for it as well, that I just didn't feel this match belonged on the card. It was a thrown together feud, and it just didn't need to be there. But McIntyre deserved more than this, in my opinion, considering he held down Raw during the whole no fans pandemic time period as World Heavyweight Champion. I hope this is the ending of this feud because they have no chemistry, in my opinion. And Corbin and McIntyre here, just like two guys, kind of like just beating the hell out of each other for no damn reason. McIntyre hit the Claymore, got the win in about 12 minutes. No fuss, no muss. But like I said, maybe they should have thought better of their WrestleMania card as a whole rather than rushing it to, put so many matches on the card. I don't know. That's just me. We then go to the Mysterios taking on The Miz and Logan Paul. You know how I feel about celebrities at WrestleMania. And Logan Paul definitely is one of them. But he surprised me here. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Dominic and Logan Paul were highlights of this match. Both showed like they've been training for this match, like they've gotten better in the ring. Dominic Mysterio, you belong on the WWE roster now, and Logan Paul, just like Bad Bunny last year, you proved me wrong. You actually showed you can get in the ring and do some stuff there. Ray and Miz went back and forth perfectly and showed why they got their spot on Mania. The one thing that kind of like made no sense whatsoever was they were boasting about Logan Paul wearing a $1 million Pikachu one-of-one card around his neck to come to the ring, and that he had just bought it over the last couple of days during a private sale. Is that what WrestleMania has really come to, though? I mean, I don't know. It just seemed like such an odd thing for him to wear, but then again, also to wear it to the ring and for them to boast about it. Some people don't know what to do with their money, ladies and gentlemen. In any case, we saw great back and forth action. We saw a double 619 on Logan Paul, but The Miz and Paul picked up the win, which actually surprised me. They get the win here. And then post match, why the heck did The Miz turn on Logan Paul? What the fuck's going on here? Are we now going to see a feud between Miz and Logan, or was just this a way to get Logan off TV and not have to say too much about it the next night on Raw? Weird, if you ask me. Weird, weird, weird. We then go to one of the matches I was absolutely looking forward to. Bianca Belair challenging Becky Lynch for the women's title. Everything about the match had Mania written all over it. The entrances, the wardrobes, the action in the ring. Becky's entrance was great. She kind of gave off a Lady Gaga feel in her look. And then you had Bianca Belair come out to that, I think it was 40 people or 50 people in a marching band from Texas State University. Um, Unbelievable. Two great women's wrestlers coming to the ring. And Becky and Bianca weren't being paid by the hour here, folks, because they fought back and forth hard and they kept trying to get the pin early on. Counter for counter, and move for move, these two women had an incredible match. At one point, it looked like Becky had it won with a manhandle slam. Bianca kicked out. Bianca went for the KOD. Becky found a way out of it. Bianca hit an incredible 450 splash. I don't know many men that could hit it that perfectly. Congratulations on that one. At the 25-minute mark, though, they counted each other's finishers. Bianca finally caught Becky in the KOD and hit it. Your winner and new Raw Women's Champion, Bianca Belair, gets back her steam from Becky Lynch from SummerSlam. Becky Lynch rolls to the outside floor and is crying hysterically, having this week lost her hair and her belt. But she can always go home to her beautiful baby girl and her husband, Seth freaking Rollins. Bianca, congratulations. Incredible WrestleMania moment. I enjoyed this one completely. And then we go to our next matchup, ladies and gentlemen. We get the whole spiel about how Seth Rollins wanted to be at Mania. He kept missing out. He kept going through all the motions, trying to get there, to do a talk show, get in the match with Edge. It was to no avail, and Vince McMahon finally put him in a match with an unknown opponent. Seth Rollins came out, and I honestly thought it could have been anybody that would have been his opponent here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It could have been The Fiend. It could have been Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano. Hell, it could have even been The Undertaker. But no, the rumors were true, and Cody Rhodes has returned home to the WWE. He's left AEW completely, and he has signed a multi-year contract with the WWE. His entrance was phenomenal in front of 78,000 fans. He smiled. He looked like he wanted to cry. He did a fantastic job in that ring. They had, in my opinion, the best match of the night. It's probably one of the best matches I've watched in a long time in the WWE. I'm going to be honest with you here. That wasn't on NXT. Let's call a spade here, folks. The bump on the outside with Seth powerbombing Cody into the barricade was unbelievable. And seeing Cody pay homage to his dad with the jabs and bionic elbow was truly a surreal WrestleMania moment. And it was a dream. Pun intended on that one. Cody hit what I believe was the fourth crossroads in total for the match and got the win in 25 minutes. What an incredible moment. Seth Rollins did a fantastic job. The pedigree hit, the powerbomb onto the barricade, like I mentioned. Great person to put Cody in the ring with on his first match back, especially at WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes is now back. He cut an amazing promo on Monday Night Raw. I won't get into that, though, because it's not about Monday Night Raw. But I will say that I was in shock to think that Cody Rhodes would walk away from the company that he helped start in AEW, come back to the WWE. But if he is going to get pushed, and if we are one day going to see the American Nightmare as the WWE champion, then I am all for this, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, welcome home to the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. You deserve it. And on to the last match that we will talk about here on this episode on If You Smell What the Orange is Cooking. Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. We again got an entire look back at their feud, dating back to a few years back when Charlotte replaced Becky Lynch after Becky had her orbital bone and nose broken by by Ronda Rousey. And then these two both make amazing entrances. This was an absolute fight, though, from bell to bell. A couple of times it looked like Ronda Rousey took Charlotte's head off with the knee strikes that she was landing. The Queen hit back and hit hard with a big boot and a continued amount of explosive suplexes on the outside. I thought Rousey had it won more than once, especially when she finally locked in the armbar. But Charlotte connected with one last big boot, taking out Ronda Rousey, which I would have liked to have seen it end in a submission, but I'm not picking. And the big boot comes from out of nowhere, gets the pin after a grueling 20-minute match. Your winner and still SmackDown Women's Champion, Charlotte Flair. Now, I think that Ronda deserved to win the title here. I have to be honest with you. I love Charlotte Flair. I think she's a great woman, representative of the Women's Championship. But Charlotte has been in the women's top tier for the last 5 years. It's time to give somebody else a shot. If Becky was willing to lose her title to Bianca Belair, I think Charlotte should have been willing to lose her title to Ronda Rousey. And then I think that Flair should have switched to Raw, Becky to SmackDown, let Charlotte feud with Bianca, let Bianca beat Charlotte soundly, let Becky fight Ronda for the SmackDown title. I don't care who goes over there, whether it's Becky or Ronda, and then you let Charlotte and Becky kindly, softly leave the women's title division alone for a little while. But that's just me. In any case, both women's singles matches were fantastic. The Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes match was absolutely fantastic. Mysterio's versus Logan Paul and Miz was good. And yes, I mentioned the first two matches, which really felt like they were out of place and shouldn't have been on a WrestleMania. But that's okay. We all need an undercard, right? No big deal. In any case, in any indication, this was a great start to WrestleMania Night 1. Everything that we saw, everything that we did, everything that came up to this point has been fantastic. On part 2 of the show, we're going to talk about the KO the KO show featuring Stone Cold Steve Austin and the entire Night 2 card and everything that went down in that. So, I want to thank you guys for joining me here. I want to thank you guys for continuing to listen to If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking. And I want to thank you for being here for the entire WrestleNet Radio family. I will be back this next show for part 2. We'll be airing this Sunday. So you'll have this one on Thursday, as I said. Listen to it throughout for the next few days. Sunday on our regular time slot, part 2 will come out. And then I'll explain to you a little something on part 2 that's going to be happening as well. So again, I want to thank you guys for listening. Have a great evening, and I will see you next time on If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking. All right, Nate, we're going to go ahead and take a break right there at the 28:20 mark. I'll go ahead and jot that down. All right. And then I'll restart up in just a couple of minutes. So I'll be back in just a minute. All right, Nate. We're going to go ahead and start back up at the 30-minute mark. So here we go. Good evening, everyone. It is Sunday, and you know what that means. It is time for If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking. This is episode 48, and I want to thank you guys for joining me for part two of my WrestleMania show. Got a little lost for words there. Yes, this is part two of me looking back at what has happened over the course of WrestleMania 38 weekend. On Thursday night's show, we looked at everything that went on for NXT Stand and Deliver, and just about everything that went on for WWE WrestleMania 38 Saturday night, night one. We still have one more big thing to talk about um, in regards to WrestleMania night one, and then the entire WrestleMania 38 night two card. A couple of things I want to talk about here, though, before we get into it. I didn't mention them on Thursday night show, part one, because I wanted to speak about them here on part two. Um, on Monday Night Raw this past week, Braun Breaker once again took on Dolph Ziggler for the NXT Championship. Braun Breaker won back the NXT title and is once again NXT Champion, now in his second reign. Why this didn't happen at WrestleMania bothers me. Why it didn't happen at NXT Stand and Deliver? You had the history making moment for the youngster. It just would have made more sense. Um, I'm still happy he's the champion, though. I'm not bothered by it. I hope that he now moves on to feud with some of NXT's top talent, such as Santos Escobar, Grayson Waller, and the rest of the guys on the card. I'm sure Tony D is going to want a shot, considering he's the one that put out Tommaso Ciampa. But whatever the case may be, congratulations to Braun Breaker on becoming a two-time NXT champion. Also, Cody Rhodes cut an amazing promo on Monday Night Raw as well, talking about his father, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, speaking about the time that Dusty almost became WWE champion, but because of countout, he could not actually win the title. Cody saying that he is going to win the World Heavyweight title on Monday Night Raw and bring it to his father's grave and present it to him while he is wearing it. The American Nightmare looks like he is ready to be back, and I am very, very happy about. And the final thing that I want to mention is Elias is back. Well, no, wait, it's his brother Ezekiel. It is basically just Elias with his beard shaved and a shorter haircut, and he is walking around calling himself Ezekiel. He interrupted Kevin Owens. Owens called him Elias. He stopped there and he said, "No, I'm the younger brother of Elias. I'm Ezekiel." He proceeded to say this three more times. I feel it is the most cringiest thing ever, but whatever the case may be, why WWE chooses to do things like this, I don't know. Of course, going back, I've mentioned this before, there was Starman Sparky Plug, and then a couple of weeks later, there was Bob Holly. There was the Cannonball Kid, the Lightning Kid, and then just the Kid, and then there was the 1, 2, 3 Kid. It's really, really weird, but that's fine and well. On to our WrestleMania coverage. Go ahead and crack open your favorite frosty beverage and listen to me spew my venom, my hate, and my love for the weekend that was WrestleMania 38. Going back to night one of WrestleMania, Saturday night, and it was the KO show with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Um, when this was first announced, I kept asking, why is a talk show main eventing WrestleMania? I was happy that Stone Cold was not getting in the ring and wrestling because I thought, well, what if he gets injured? But then to my surprise, once they went live and they got back and forth talking and everything like that, and the match was announced, boy, did I mark out. I was pleasantly surprised because Stone Cold Steve Austin, wow. Owens fought hard and tried to put Austin away multiple times, but the rattlesnake wouldn't have it. Austin looked great and after not having been in the ring for 19 years, looked like he didn't miss a step. The spot drew the crowd. These two battling all over the arena with the fans in attendance screaming that they were witnessing a main event like Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kevin Owens. was absolutely amazing. They got back in the ring. Stone Cold hit a stunner, sold perfectly by Kevin Owens, by the way. And 1, 2, 3. Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Stone Cold. Steve Austin got his Mania moment 19 years later by beating Kevin Owens. Now, there are people who are saying, well, hey, doesn't that bury Kevin Owens? No. He just main evented WrestleMania against Steve Austin. He can now come out and say whatever he wants, like he did on Monday Night Raw. He can now come out and challenge anybody that he wants and say, I stood toe to toe with Steve Austin. You know who used to say that? Chris Jericho. He used to boast about beating Austin and Rock for the world titles to become the unified champion all the time. He could say, I am the only man that could coax Stone Cold Steve Austin out of retirement after 19 years. So good on Kevin Owens, and amazing, amazing to see Stone Cold Steve Austin back in the ring after so long. Now, night one ends. There were a couple of lows, but too many highs to take away from this being a great night one for WrestleMania. Charlotte, Becky, Bianca, Ronda Rousey, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kevin Owens, even Logan Paul and the Mysterios all did a great job. The highs definitely outweighed the lows, and in my opinion, I give WrestleMania Night 1 a 5 out of 5. Well done, WWE. You got my interest going into part 2. So here comes WrestleMania Night 2. And how do you open the show? Well, somebody singing better this time, as she sang America the Beautiful. I still didn't know who she was, but she at least sang better. And then Triple H coming out to the ring, opening WrestleMania, and seeing him with his boots in his hands, it brought a tear to my eye. He thanked the fans and he welcomed us to WrestleMania Night 2 and left his boots in the ring. The last of the Attitude Era is gone. Thank you, Triple H, for everything you've done in this business. Just like I said to The Undertaker, thank you for being the game. Thank you for making it cool to do crotch chops and yell, "Are you ready?" at the top of my lungs in the schoolyard. And thank you for being a part of my childhood. We then go to the card of WrestleMania, and it starts off with a tremendous triple threat match between RK Bro, the Street Profits, and Alpha Academy. This was a great triple threat match and the best match to open Mania with, in my opinion. Alpha Academy shined throughout, especially Otis. The Street Profits are the future of tag team wrestling, and Montez Ford has one of the best frog splashes in the business, if not the best. And RK Bro finally have come a long way and are finally found the perfect balance between the two of each other. We saw two epic RKOs, one from the top rope from Riddle and one in midair by Randy Orton. 3 slaps of the ring later, your winner and still WWE Raw Tag Team Champions, RK Bro, Matt Riddle, and Randy Orton. Post match, the Street Profits want to have a toast with the winners, RK Bro. They invite Gable Steveson into the ring. He was all over at WrestleMania all weekend long. They want to have a toast with him. Chad Gable decides he's not going to let that happen. Well, guess what? Gable Steveson had one of the best belly to bellies I've ever seen. He threw Chad Gable across the damn ring. They had their toast on the outside of the ring. Great moment for all involved. We then go to the ring for Lashley versus Omos. Again, one of those matches I really wish would have been on Monday Night Raw or on a lesser pay-per-view, but it was good to see Bobby Lashley back in the ring after such a crazy injury where we thought he was going to be gone for so long. And I guess this was okay, but it was mainly kick, punch, clothesline, and repeat. Lashley went over in 10 minutes, which was the right choice in my opinion, because Omos should not have been beating somebody who was a 2-time World Heavyweight Champion over the last year. But this isn't a feud that I think should continue to happen. Here's the bad part, though. Monday Night Raw this week, MVP comes out, brings out Bobby Lashley. They're celebrating Lashley's win. And then MVP turns on Lashley and it's now with Omos. So this feud is going to continue. This giant, lumbering, stumbling giant named Omos is going to take on a superior athlete like Bobby Roode for God knows how long, with MVP as his mouthpiece. Who the fuck did Lashley piss off? In any case, that match was done, and we go to the comedy match that was Knoxville and Zayn. And for a comedy match, this wasn't bad at all. Knoxville can't wrestle for shit, but the hand slap spot, the giant mousetrap spot, the jackass members hitting the ring, which I knew was going to happen. Chris Spontaneous, Wee Man, they all were going to jump the ring and all get involved. The jackass pranks made me laugh. It made the fans get into it. It actually made it fun. Zayn tried and tried, but he couldn't get the win or stop the insanity. Johnny Knoxville gets the win and now has a win over Sami Zayn in the record books over Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. Unbelievable. I will say this, though. Logan Paul showed me I was wrong. Johnny Knoxville maybe didn't show me I was wrong, but he kept my interest and he had me laughing. So not totally bad here so far. We've seen worse at WrestleMania. So I guess this wasn't all bad. We then go to the women's fatal four-way for the women's tag team titles on Monday Night Raw, SmackDown. We have Zelina Vega and Carmella taking on Sasha Banks and Naomi, taking on Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, taking on Shayna Baszler and Natalya. I must say all four women's tag teams did a great job. Even the thrown together team of Shayna and Natalya, they worked together very well. They reminded me of a Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart, the way that they were working together as a tag team. I hope they stay together. I hope this just wasn't a once and done at WrestleMania because they needed an extra team. Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan worked together as well, even though they were just put together about a month ago. Their entrance was fantastic, I think it was supposed to be Batman and Catwoman, but I'm not sure. Liv Morgan, wow, that girl can jump. She can move quickly. Unbelievable. Rhea Ripley, straight power and knows how to put over a damn move. That moonsault she caught Zelina, that Zelina caught her with so perfectly. And Sasha and Naomi have incredible chemistry and style. We've known that because they were put together years ago when Sasha first debuted. So this was a no-brainer of a tag team. Zelina and Carmella have been great champions. I will say that. But they did not have any synchronism in this matchup together. It kind of felt to me like it should have been the way Shayna and Natalya should have been working together, but no, the champions were at a loss. Banks and Naomi finally got the win with an innovative double team move out of nowhere. Your winners and new Raw, SmackDown Women's Tag Team Champions, Sasha Banks and Naomi. Call them the glowing bosses. Call them the legit glow. I don't care. They're a great tag team. I'm here for it. We then get the highlight package for Edge versus AJ Styles, which, again, the WWE knows how to kill it on highlight packages, ladies and gentlemen. This new Edge got a new entrance, and this was match of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Edge's new entrance and his dastardly wrestling style was great, and he made me remember the old Edge, the ultimate opportunist, the man who was willing to do whatever it took to get a win. AJ Styles is simply phenomenal and showed it here, even making it through injury, because I know for a fact that man popped his arm back into his socket while I was watching him do it live on pay-per-view, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care what anyone else says. That man fought hard. Damian Priest's involvement was actually pretty innovative. I heard a couple of days sooner that there may have been some involvement with Damian and him joining Edge in a new crew that Edge is putting together. If that's the case, that's fine and well. AJ went for the phenomenal forearm, and then out of nowhere, we see a spear connect in midair. Edge gets the win, and I want more of this. I want more Edge versus AJ Styles. I want to know what Edge and Damian Priest are doing. I want to know who's joining them, and I want to know what to expect. I want more. Show me more, WWE. You have my attention. Take my damn money. We then go to New Day versus Shaman and Ridge Holland. This match didn't have to happen at Mania at all. It shouldn't have happened at all. After everything that went on with Biggie, after everything that went on, leading up to that, this match should have been killed completely. Leave Ridge Holland and Sheamus off of Mania. Same with New Day. Put them in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal on SmackDown. This was 4 minutes of 4 guys being all jumbled. The match barely got started. They hit each other a couple times. Sheamus hit a brogue kick on both members of the New Day. Ridge Holland got the pin. Over. Why would you do this on WrestleMania? This match was cut the night before because of time constraints. But then with an hour and 20 minutes left in this show, you put it on, and it's like, what did it solve? What did it do? You basically made the New Day look soft, which they shouldn't look soft because they've been champions so many damn times. And then you made Ridge Holland and Sheamus look like they were a couple of bumbling idiots trying to stop Butch from beating up guys that he's not even in a match with. And why the hell did we change Pete Dunne's name to Butch? In any case, there were a few matches that didn't deserve to be at WrestleMania. This is number 1 on top of the list. And then we go to Austin Theory versus Pat McAfee. The only celebrity I thought that should have been at WrestleMania, Pat McAfee. I wasn't a fan of Austin Theory before this match, and I'm still not. But Pat McAfee was unbelievably good. He was a true athlete, and he showed it throughout the match. This man had an incredible entrance that featured the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, the white stripes playing him in, punting a football into the crowd. Unbelievable. He beat the hell out of Austin Theory. I don't care what anybody says. Theory may have gotten a few shots, but Pat McAfee had this match on lockdown the whole way. His jump backflip off the top rope, and then his jump back onto the top rope to hit a superplex. Unbelievable. Great job, Pat. McAfee beat down on Austin Theory, did some incredible flying, and got the win over Mr. McMahon's pet project, with Mr. McMahon sitting on the outside sulking. Hearing Byron Saxton tell Michael Cole to stop cheering because he thought Cole was going to get in trouble with Mr. McMahon was actually hilarious. But Cole kept cheering, and you know what? It's deserved. Pat McAfee put on one hell of a show. Post-match, however, it didn't make no sense for the first 5 minutes. Mr. McMahon pulls Austin Theory outside, yells at him for a minute. Pat McAfee comes near them. Mr. McMahon challenges Pat McAfee to a match right then and there at WrestleMania. And then totally beats him down. All the athleticism we saw from Pat McAfee in the previous match was gone. Vince beat Pat McAfee in 3 minutes, even insulting him by kicking a punt directly into the ribs of Pat McAfee. Pin McAfee 1, 2, 3, and that was that. Sat there celebrating with Austin Theory, and then the glass shattered. And I was 14 years old all over again, ladies and gentlemen. I was watching Stone Cold Steve Austin come to the ring, ready to stomp a mud hole in somebody's ass. And he immediately did it to Austin Theory. Thank you, Stone Cold. Shared a beer with Vince, who didn't know how this was going to go. Kicks him in the stomach. Vince, of course, botches the stunner because he's never been hit with a stunner perfectly ever in his whole damn life. He then shares some beer with Pat McAfee, stuns McAfee as well. Stone Cold Steve Austin, 2 nights in a row, doing what he does best. Thank you, WWE. because that was damn good. So, Austin rides off into the sunset, and we've got one match left. Brock Lesnar, the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, taking on the Universal World Heavyweight Champion, Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns has been champion for over 550 days, ladies and gentlemen. And these two men are about to go and lock it up. Immediately out of the gate, we saw a suplex, we saw a spear, we saw 3 suplexes, we saw 2 clotheslines. They went back and forth like a normal Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns matchup. Brock hit an F5, Roman kick out. Roman hit a Superman punch and a spear. Brock Lesnar kicked out. They rolled to the outside. Roman Reigns speared Lesnar through the guardrail. We've seen this before, ladies and gentlemen, but it's WrestleMania, and the fans were up on their feet for it. Brock hit another F5. Again, no pinfall. Lesnar went and locked in a Kimura. This got left on way too long because at one point, Roman Reigns had his shoulder separated. Reigns was screaming in pain but would not give up the match. Thanks to Paul Heyman, he got to the bottom turnbuckle, the rope, clinched the rope. Referee let him go. Brock sat back for a few seconds. I guess being respectful, or I don't know why, but he sat back for a few seconds. He let Roman get his wits about him. He lifted Roman back up. Roman gave him a shot. Another spear. 10 minutes later, your winner, and still, and new, unified WWE Universal World Heavyweight Champion, Roman Reigns, ladies and gentlemen. Now, there are people who complained this match was too short. It was 10 minutes long. It was by far their longest match they've ever had. But Roman Reigns legitimately hurt his shoulder, and I understand them having to go home early as not to hurt Roman Reigns any further. And believe me when I say this, I'm happy they did it. If you thought that Brock Lesnar, who was possibly going to be leaving the WWE soon, was going to be getting a hold of the Unified World Heavyweight Universal Championship, you were wrong. Because Brock Lesnar has been there for the last 2 months. Every Raw, every SmackDown, he's probably due for a break. So Roman Reigns obviously was winning the title. It didn't matter whether he did it in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 30 minutes. They still ended by midnight, ladies and gentlemen. They still did what they were supposed to do, and the outcome was still the same. I'm happy for Roman because he's finally getting that push that he's been deserving. He had to turn heel in order to do it, but he's been phenomenal for the last year and a half. So I'm just wondering what he's going to do now with both pieces of gold around his waist. He delivered a fantastic promo on Monday Night Raw to end it this past Monday night, and I'm eagerly awaiting to see what he's going to say on SmackDown. I've yet to watch it. Kind of on wrestling overkill here, so I needed a little few day break. I only caught Raw in its entirety because I had nothing else to watch. But Roman Reigns is your new World Heavyweight Champion, and he did a fantastic job. Now, I knew I said there would be no grinds my gears on last week's show, on Thursday's show, part 1. I will like to say this. What grinded my gears about WrestleMania, 4 matches that didn't deserve to be on the show, and Vince McMahon challenging Pat McAfee to a match and beating Pat for no reason, just to get to the Stone Cold Steve Austin part, which was phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. But you could have gotten there a dozen different ways. You could have gotten there just by having Theory and McMahon beaten down McAfee, have Austin come and save him. We didn't need another match. I don't know if Vince felt that we were still under time constraint. We needed to get a few more minutes off the clock or what. The Sheamus and Holland match against New Day the Drew McIntyre and Corbin match, the Usos these were all SmackDown matches that could have happened on Friday Night SmackDown. It did not need to be on the main card. If we did need them to be at WrestleMania, they should have been on the pre-show, because the pre-show was 2 hours long both nights and was damn boring. But that's fine and well. That's all I got to get off my chest. Now, ladies and gentlemen, after the overload of 12 hours between the Hall of Fame, NXT, and both nights of Monday night of WrestleMania, and all of last week's wrestling in its entirety, I am worn out. I'm burnt out. So I will be taking this next week off. This will air, as I said, it's airing right now on Sunday. Part 1 aired on Thursday. If you didn't listen to it, please go back and listen to it. After you're done listening to this, I will be on a 1-week hiatus. Call it a vacation, call it a week off, whatever you want. I will be back, though, with the normal scheduled program. NXT, AEW Dynamite, AEW Rampage. I want to thank you guys, as always, for listening to me. I want to thank you guys for the comments that you leave on the Facebook page, on the group, on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. I want to thank you for supporting the We Can't Wrestle podcast, Slice of Time, the year that was, the Maximum Gold. We have new shows coming up as well, the Golden Voices and Wrestling with Comedy. Those should be great. Nate Maxon and I are talking about doing another show together called The War of Raws, but we'll get into that at another time. But I'm going to take this next week off. I will be back, however. We'll be back right on schedule. Won't miss a beat. And again, we're 48 shows in, and I do this because I know you guys like it. I know some of you guys love it. I love doing it, and that alone makes me very, very happy. So I will continue to do this until some of you, all of you, maybe even just one of you tell me, hey, moron, shut up. So, have a great night, and I will see you next time on If You Smell what the Arch is Cooking.